He's in every meeting. He leads every install. We spend time one-on-one as well, talking about things. There's been a lot of great discussions, a lot of creativity on both sides. I think he's done some really, really smart things. He's not come in and said, hey, the past scheme was terrible. This is what we're going to run. It's been a good blending of some of the things that we're really good at and then some of the great schemes that he's bringing to us from the places that he's been. And that's what makes it fun. It's the challenge of learning a new system and a new language and new code words and checks and terms, and then, pairing that with some of the things that we've done really well over the years. Things that, I maybe liked. He gets up in a room and shows clips and talks about why this is better. And, yeah, that looks better. Yeah, we'll do it that way. And then vice versa, Every now and then when I bring up something that, I think this might work better, or I like how we did this in the past, he's like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it that way. And that's fun.
All part of LaFleur's effort to try to help this team work smarter, not necessarily harder. And obviously that would in turn help Aaron Rodgers make the game just a little bit easier, less pressure on him. What are you looking for from this Packers offense?
Well, this is going to be unusual in what we're seeing because it's going to be a blended couple of offenses. The offense that they had, very, very, very successful with Mike McCarthy, absent of a running game, because that's one thing that they're going to help Aaron Rodgers. That's what they got to be able to do. But Aaron gave us a really good opinion of what they're going to do. They're going to keep some of the stuff that they did successful. So you're going to see some of the stuff with Green Bay you're going to be familiar with. The other stuff you're going to have to either look to Atlanta or look to San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. So they will mirror what they did. So in talking to Matt Ryan this offseason, it's a hybrid offense. Green Bay is going to run a hybrid offense because they're blending two systems together. They had great deal of success, especially the combination Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. But everything is, can they run the ball? If you can't support Aaron Rodgers with a good defense and a running game, which they haven't been consistent one time in the time that they've been there, the Super Bowl years, if you look at the numbers, look at the defense, look at their rushing attack, those were the best numbers they had. But Aaron Rodgers, to be successful, I'm glad that LaFleur is taking his information in and blending and allow Aaron to be creative. Because one of the things as a veteran player, that you need the coaches to allow you to still be creative in trying to design things and think of ways to beat the defense. If not, you get stale, you start skipping steps, and you get sloppy, and your performance suffers.
Well, and one of the things for LaFleur's experience that will be very beneficial to the Packers is last year he was in a team that had to be basically the most run-oriented team in football. Not necessarily because it's exactly what LaFleur wanted to do, but because of personnel. The best player on the offense was probably Derrick Henry, sir, in the second half of last year. They had enormous questions at the quarterback spot, and so they were run, run, run. The Packers last year were once again, of course, the opposite of that. In fact, I read this morning. This jumped off the page at me. With the lead in the second half of games, they passed the ball 65% of the time. That's the most in the NFL in that circumstance in a half decade. Even when you have the lead, even when you play in Green Bay, when you play in that division, in that weather, they're still with a lead in the second half. Aaron Rodgers, go do it for us. And it was when Aaron Rodgers not fully healthy all year long. And so what I would imagine we'll see is less pressure on Rodgers to have to do everything. And you mentioned Davante Adams. Rodgers said himself that under last year's scheme, it was more about you beat your man as opposed to scheming guys open. That's probably one of the reasons Davante Adams had 168 targets. No other wide receiver had even 68 targets because he was the one guy you could rely on. He might actually beat his man. That's going to be different. They're going to have guys who, in theory, get open before the ball's even snapped because of the schematic advantage. And it's super important. The most important thing for the Packers is that Rodgers can get through the season healthy, which he's not been able to get through the first month of the last two seasons healthy. And when you look at their first month of football, it's defense, defense, defense against them. Chicago, Minnesota, Denver, Philly, and then at Dallas, those first 5 games. If you're asking Aaron Rodgers against those fronts to drop back 45 times each game, he's going to go into October with some type of nagging injury at the least. So for all those reasons, I'm optimistic about it. I'm also optimistic about the personnel they've added and some of those changes. And maybe most importantly, I think you're going to have a rejuvenated Aaron Rodgers. I think what had happened there, whether it was McCarthy's fault or not, had gotten stale. And Aaron Rodgers that feels like I've got something to prove at this point after having a couple down seasons and a couple years that have been derailed by either being knocked out due to injury or being hampered due to injury. So for all those reasons, I think the Packers are going to have the best offense in that division and be in really good position to win that division.
Are we past the relationship status between these two where their success depends on them getting along?
Oh, I don't know what other people are going to do, but any relationship Aaron Rodgers in, I'll watch it.
Okay.
Because he just hadn't been real consistent as far as his relationship. So for me, if you're not good at relationships, they get a young quarterback coach, first time being a head coach, Aaron Rodgers a little prickly. I think you should keep a microphone after the games and after practices.
Good stuff. Take a break. Coming up, can the Cowboys be an elite team without Zeke? That's next on First Things First.